Welcome to the 30 and Nerdy Podcast, brought to you by Advertising Expressions, Creative Theater, Akita Express, and Encore Theatrical Company. Visit us online at 30andnerdypodcast.com. Drop us an email at 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Become a patron of the show at patreon.com/30nerdypodcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show. And now, sit back, relax, and get ready to nerd out with your hosts, Josh Davis and Tyler McDaniel.
What's up, nerds and nerdettes, and hello, nurse! This is the podcast where everyone knows your name.
Cheers to ya.
Cheers to ya.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Tyler, and this is 30 and Nerdy. We are coming at you from the Fortress of Nerditude with yours truly, the registered nerd practitioner, the founder of Nerdledge, the Mac. And always great to be joined by my co-host, the Juicy One, the Nerdtorious JLD, the PhD of Nerdology, the Ren to my Stimpy, the Doug to my Skeeter, the Nightwing to my Batman, the Yakko to my Wacko, the Launchpad McQuack to my Darkwing Duck, Dr. Doom, Dr. Davis himself. What's up, Doc?
I don't even know what to say. That just brought a tear to my eye. It was beautiful.
I'm telling you, baby. It's always great to be here with you.
Of course.
And for those of you listening, again, thank you. Your subscriptions, your shares, your likes, your listens, they are greatly appreciated. And if you're tuning in for the first time, you can catch us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you cast your pod. And for our Patreon supporters, thank you so much from the deep, dark bowels of our hearts, because without you, we do not get to nerd, and it is a lot of fun. So, Doc, how you been?
Great, man. Great now. I was down with the sickness again already a few days ago. I had a viral infection. I had a fever.
Ooh.
I had a fever of like 101 for like 2 days. It was terrible. But I'm over it. I'm good to go now. I'm happy to be here. Yesterday we had Emma's second birthday party.
2 years old.
Had it at your pool. Her birthday is actually next Saturday,
yeah.
But we different reasons we decided to do it a week early. Had it at the pool.
Uh-huh.
It was great. Lots of fun.
Good.
Lots of new Mickey and Minnie toys.
That's
and
good.
Only a few of them make noise, so I'm very thankful. I lost some good dad points, though. I forgot to put her sunscreen on this little spot on the back of her neck, because I didn't realize that her little swimsuit, I didn't realize what it did in the back, and I didn't even look. So I learned my lesson there, because she got her first little sunburn. She was not happy about it, but she's good now. It's totally fine. It looks a lot better.
She's, before we started recording, we spent some time, she was showing us her new slide.
Mm-hmm.
She's more of a trooper to sunburn at 2 than I am at 30.
Yeah.
I am a terrible patient when it comes to sunburn.
Me too.
I am a baby.
Me too.
But if I walk to the mailbox, I get sunburned.
Yeah, at first it was a big deal, because I don't understand why everything hurts every time I move. Why?
Yeah.
What's going on? And she was crying really hard about it. It was so sad, but we gave her some Tylenol and we rubbed some stuff. Becky got some emergency aloe something or another from the store and put on it, and it, right away it went from red to like light pink. So can't be too bad.
Yeah.
But I felt really bad for
Oh, yeah, yeah.
several hours last night. I still feel bad now, but
yeah,
she's okay. So
she's a trooper.
yeah.
So last week we had a little fun breakdown of the Umbrella Academy Netflix original series. That was fun.
Yeah.
Very, very good show.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, I guess, is filming currently.
I hope so.
I know. I heard rumor that they'd only do 3 because there's only 3 comics,
Okay.
which I guess
Well,
is
that makes
good.
sense.
Which means they're going to just go as long as source material.
I heard
is.
that there was a rumored 4th one coming out. 4th
Hey,
comic.
I mean, he's proven to be a good writer, so
Yeah.
why not? That was fun, though. And if you missed out on that, you can check it out in the archives on our YouTube channel, 30 and Nerdy Podcast, or, of course, wherever you listen to podcasts on your phone, laptop, wherever you listen. This week, though, we are very excited because we're going to take a little trip back in time to a better time,
A simpler time.
a much simpler time. We're going to be nerding in the 90's.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to break out our nostalgic nerddoms and talk about cartoons and comics and video games and movies and just moments that really made the 90's better than any generation. I mean, let's be honest. I know every generation would say they have the better generation, but come on. I mean, the 90's were where it was at.
Yeah.
And we're going to get through some of that after a word from our sponsor.
All right.
Thanks, Josh and Tyler. Hi, everyone. I'm Sawyer Stacy, and I'm playing the role of Alex the Lion in Encore Theatrical Company's upcoming production of Madagascar Jr. This is an exciting show full of fun, laughs, and music that will make you want to move it, move it. The show runs from September 6th through the 15th at the Inman Humanities Theater at Walter State Community College in Morristown, Tennessee. You can get your tickets by calling 423-318-8331 or by visiting Encore's website at etcplays.org. Don't miss out on the fun. We hope to see you at the theater, but until then, relax, be cool, and chill out.
Hey, all you nerds out there in Nerdland, this is David.
And this is Tim.
And we're from Johnny Has the Keys podcast, a podcast where horror and sci-fi shape our lives.
You're listening to Josh and Tyler of the 30 and Nerdy podcast, where they discuss, debate, and break it down with nerd culture and the nerds that reside there. If you like listening to these guys, consider coming over to the dark side with us on your favorite podcast platform of choice.
Cheers to you, nerds, and don't forget your keys.
All right, dudes, now it's time for me to talk nerdy to you. I thought that since it's another generational moment, it's the 90's, I wasn't going to do just another word again. I'm going to do like the top 10 most popular phrases from the entire decade of the 90's. And I was actually shocked that there were a couple of these I had never heard of before. So I'm just going to give you these top 10 common slang lingo from the 90's. Number 1, let's dip. And they're not talking about chips.
No.
It just means let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Hey, dude. Let's dip.
I didn't say that one time in the 90's, not once.
Me neither.
So.
2, all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah, I remember that one. I got that from Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Dr. Evil said that one too.
Basically, it means the best and then some.
Yeah.
Number 3, as F. Immortalized by Alicia Silverstone in the movie Clueless, this phrase was slang for yeah, right.
I remember that one.
As F. Like,
As F.
As F. Number 4, I'd never heard of this one. Bama. This was slang made popular in the North in the 90's, meaning redneck.
Oh. No wonder we didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We were the Bamas they were talking about.
They were talking about, like, that's so Bama. That's so redneck. I'm glad it's Bama, not Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, number 5, dank. It's a fun... like Dankenstein. Dank Sinatra.
Why do you do this to me?
Dank and Beans.
Dankosaurus Rex.
Dankosaurus.
Oh my.
Count Dankula. That basically means excellent. Like, oh man, did you catch that movie the other day? It was so dank, yo. I didn't use that word in the 90s.
Not once.
Because every time I hear the word dank, I think it smells bad. It's something that smells dank. Ugh. Number 6. Dank Williams Sr.
And Junior.
And Junior. Oh, gosh. Number 6. Eat My Shorts.
Eat my shorts.
Made popular by Bart Simpson. This is a colorful way of saying screw you.
Oh.
Dope. Number 7. Home Skillet.
Yeah, boy.
I use this one.
Oh,
I
yeah,
use
me
this
too.
one. I'll tell you.
Home slice.
Home Slice, Home Skillet. Two of my friends growing up, Matt Grooms and Caleb Smith, they said skillet all the time. Home Skillet. Basically, if you call someone Home Skillet, they're your good friend.
Yeah.
You are close enough to call each other Skillet. That's a bond.
Yeah, I did that.
Number 8, Jack You Up, which means beat the crap out of someone.
Yeah.
I never used it. But
People probably still say that, I would say.
Jack them up.
Maybe
Jack those
not.
fools
Yeah.
up.
Well, when you say it, it doesn't sound the way I thought it would, so maybe not.
I guess not. Number 9, Old School.
Yeah.
Old-fashioned
That started in the 90s?
It was made popular in the 90s. Apparently,
People definitely do say that now.
they still say it now, but apparently our generation was the first to start using it as old people.
Victory!
All right. Old School. Also a funny movie with Will Ferrell in it. Mm-hmm. Number 10, Yo Mama.
Yo mama.
Yo Mama.
No, yo mama.
No, Yo Mama.
Okay.
Okay, my mama. The ultimate comeback in the 90s. Anybody could say anything like, hey, I heard Tyler got an F on his report card. And all I'd have to do is go, well, yo mama. Oh.
That's true.
It fixed everything.
Don't get much worse than that. The comeback I use at school when my kids want to, try to get sassy with me, I'll say, your face.
Your face.
And they all go, ooh, like it's the greatest thing they've ever heard. It's so easy.
Face.
It's so easy. I'm like, you know what?
Talk to the hand.
It's like, Mr. Davis, are we going to be done soon? Because I'm really ready for lunch. Your mom's ready for lunch.
Oh.
Your face is ready for lunch.
Your face is talk to the hand.
See, your face is ready for lunch. It just sounds so much nicer.
Of course it is. Because
It sounds like I'm insinuating that, your
They're
mom's
hungry.
always ready for lunch.
Yeah.
It sounds really bad. I should never say that.
No.
But I haven't. I only say your face.
Rules and regulations, man.
Yeah. So
Such a shame.
I think that, we're a much more polite generation
Absolutely.
now.
We really are.
Your face.
Your face is a lot more polite than yo mama.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to get at here.
I think my favorite out of all of those is Dank. Hickory dickory dank.
Oh my goodness. Enough of you.
Be gone. All right, so those are your 10 famous phrases from the 90s. Let's dip all that in a bag of chips. As if, Bama, Dank, Eat My Shorts, Home Skillet, Jack You Up, Old School, and Yo Mama. And now, we're going to move on to one of Josh's biggest favorite things that we ever do, and that is, What You Watchin'? So Josh, what you watching?
So my recommendation this week is the Rocco's Modern Life special that they just put on Netflix.
Yeah, bringing back the show.
I watched it and I enjoyed it. If you were a fan of the show back in the day, I think you'll enjoy it as well. It's pretty much looks the same vibe, same everything, same voice cast. As far as I know, everybody came back.
Cool.
There's, like 90s Nickelodeon sometimes was a little bit raunchy, as much as you can be for like G-rated
But it was
stuff.
mostly over our head.
Yeah, but I mean, like there was I just remember in Rocco's Modern Life. Sorry, there was all kinds of like nasty stuff. Like they would pull out belly button lint and like slime and ooze and stuff like that, boogers and all that. So there was a lot of that. And I just associate a lot of like 90s looking
Easy for you to say.
Good night in the morning. I'm just getting so excited about the 90s I can't even speak today.
That wasn't very dank.
You're right. Your face isn't very dank.
Aww.
So, yeah, same feel. What I was saying was I associate a lot of that nasty stuff with 90s Nickelodeon, like belly button lint and...
Well, thanks to
boogers
90s
and
cartoons, I legitimately thought that anything that stunk had green waves floating above
exactly.
it. Like, I''d be able to know if something stunk because it looks like green waves.
That's that type of stuff. That was so 90s Nickelodeon. So there's a lot of that in this, and there's a couple of things that in the story, I don't want to spoil anything, really surprised me with the direction that they went. Definitely would not have flown in the 90s. Yeah. But I think that's the point. Like, this is meant for people like us who grew up watching the show.
But with some of the progressive stuff from today.
Yes.
Okay.
I would go as far as to say I was a bit shocked that they did some of the things that they did. I didn't have a problem with it. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed it. So if you're a 90s kid and you loved Rocko's Modern Life, check this out.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Well, I started to go back and watch some old reruns of the Batman animated series on the DC streaming service. And that show still holds up. Like, it is still just a fantastic show. Conroy's voice, the stories they tell, the characters they bring in, the animation, it still holds up as a fantastic show. Even if it was a cartoon or not a cartoon. I also kind of went back and watched some old Animaniacs stuff. Because I loved the Animaniacs. Zany to the max.
Yeah.
And then Titans Season 2 dropped. And this one they are doing episodically. Yeah. So it's not all dropped. The whole season hasn't dropped. They're doing it once a week.
Oh, no.
And now I'm sitting there like, I just said, when we were talking about Stranger Things, I was like, I think they should go back to doing that. And then when I realized what they were doing, I was like, no! I want the whole season!
Yeah, but it's a lot less to keep up with. Like, there's a lot less pressure to finish quickly.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more about this in just a minute anyway.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I think I'm for it, to be honest with you.
I liked it, though. But like at first I was like, no, I want to see the whole season. But afterwards, the anticipation that I realized I had for next week, I was like, no, I miss this. I miss having that anticipation.
Exactly. We're spoiled.
Yeah, we have become spoiled with the streaming services. But yeah, I definitely would recommend, if you have not seen Titan Season 1, go ahead and that season is still on. You can binge that and start Titan Season 2. And if you get a chance, go back and watch some of these old 90s cartoons. Like Batman the Animated Series, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, stuff like that. Especially if you didn't grow up in the 90s and see some of the stuff we grew up to.
Oh yeah, it holds up for the most part.
Absolutely. So, why don't we get into some news?
Sounds good.
All right. A little bit of news. And this one was a big one that dropped early this week. Netflix, which is the very popular streaming service that started it all for us, is abandoning their binge model on some of its programming. They will move to a weekly release on some of their programs, beginning with The Great British Baking Show and Rhythm and Flow. This may progress to their original programming, such as Umbrella Academy and Stranger Things. Or they may attempt to batch release method, which was made popular by Hulu, releasing a few episodes each week. Mm-hmm. And I think that they are... Why do you think they're doing this? Like, why now?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think they actually do that with a few of their shows already. Like, I think Chelsea Handler or somebody has a show weekly. There's that show, The Patriot Act. That's a weekly thing. They have certain things that are similar to that. But I think that if they do go as far as to make, like, Umbrella Academy and Stranger Things and all that a weekly thing, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to, be upset because they have tradition of binging it,
Yeah.
But for me personally, I'm going to prefer it because as busy as I am and as hard as it is to hold my attention.
Absolutely.
one episode at a time is going to be good for me.
Yeah. Actually, that's pretty smart. Especially with HBO Max and Disney Plus being the big streaming titans that are coming.
It also makes sense, like, if you've got a 10 episode season, that's more than 1 month for a free trial. Your free trial runs out. You want to see what happens on this show you've been following.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
buy it.
I'm gonna have to buy my account for at least the next month and a half to finish the show.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
it is smart.
It's very smart. Absolutely. Some of the cast of Saved by the Bell were together at a fan expo in Canada. When asked about a reunion of some sort, they said it was absolutely been in talks, but we have all not agreed on a script yet. But we do agree it should not be a reboot, but more of what they have done with Fuller House and Karate Kid. Saved by the Bell was more like, late 80s and went into the 90s?
Yeah, it was not
and I
really,
loved the show. I did.
It was never something I got really big into.
I loved the show. I loved some of the characters. I loved the entrance song. I bash a lot of things that reboot or come back or stuff like that. But if they were to, I didn't hate Fuller House coming back and the way they did it.
Yeah, I only watched like the first or second season.
And I really loved Cobra Kai. It was really good.
Yeah, I heard it was good.
And I think if you're going to bring back some of these stars to reprise their roles, I definitely would agree with don't reboot it and possibly make them, just not in it. Don't bring the title Saved by the Bell back with a whole new modern kids. Do what they've done with Fuller House. Maybe Zach's teaching gym or, stuff like that. That I could get on board with more.
Did you ever see Girl Meets World?
It was awful.
Really?
It was terrible.
I liked it.
I didn't like it.
Oh, I did because
it did not have the same feel to me.
Corey became the new Mr. Feeney, pretty much.
I understand. I didn't.
It was great.
I liked the moments with the parents because I grew up watching them grow up, and it just still didn't have the same feel.
Well, buddy, they put this show on the Disney Channel and not like ABC for a reason. It was meant for like kids.
Yes.
So
it's very true.
Not for us.
No, not for us. On to some more news. In a red carpet event of It 2, Finn Wolfhard was asked about the third installment of Ghostbusters that he is in. His words were, "I'm really excited. It's genuinely a beautiful film. It's faithful, and I'm very excited for the people to see it." Ghostbusters 3 will open July 10th, 2020. And a bunch of the original cast, like Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd, have said, we are coming back. And I think a lot of this comes off the epic fail that was the reboot.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for those women because I don't think they did it as a pushing an agenda, but a lot of what you call the trolls saw it that way. Pushing the agenda of including...
Full disclosure, I never saw it.
Well, I saw it, and it was typical Whig and McCarthy comedy. The comedy didn't hold up like the old Ghostbusters. They modernized the comedy. They modernized the action. And I think what made Ghostbusters great wasn't just that it was those comedians. It was some of that stuff that they were able to pull off in that movie shouldn't have been done.
I think
for that time
there wasn't really as much fan service as there should have been, I guess, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
Which is why when Finn here talks about it and he says that it's faithful,
I think there'll be a lot more.
There'll be a lot more fan service.
Absolutely. So I think the biggest fan service that I caught on to in the reboot was Marshmallow showed up, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man showed up, and he was all blistered on one side, and Slimer was shown. Other than that, I was like, it just doesn't... I don't want to hate it because I love the women that were in it.
Yeah, they're all very well respected.
They're very well respected, very talented, and very comedic, and I love in everything they do. It didn't hit with me. So hopefully, we'll get that third installment that we've been dreaming for. Up next, sadly, Emmy Award-winning cartoon writer Gordon Bresick has passed away at the age of 68. He was a lead writer on some of our 90s favorites, including The Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Tiny Toon Adventures, and The Smurfs.
Oh, sad.
Very sad. And up next, as of now, the door has been closed on Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah, that's what I hear. You want to ask me how I feel about it?
How do you feel?
That about sums it up.
Wow.
But I also kind of feel like about it, and also, but some of those words I can't say on our podcast, so we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, then I will move on.
It sucks. It sucks. That's how I feel about it. But whatever, we'll make it.
Keep your head up.
We'll make it through somehow.
Up next, We Got This Covered, who were the first to break the news of Ewan McGregor's return. Robert Pattinson's casting as Batman and Black Widow's solo film have talked with some MCU writers about The Defenders. MCU is keen on bringing them back into the MCU in the future, but cannot touch them until Netflix's lease is up on the characters in June of 2021.
So basically, they'll reboot them.
They'll reboot them.
Yeah.
And that sucks because I really loved Berthnall as the Punisher. I loved Charlie as Daredevil.
Me too.
I mean, it sucks for him. And it sucks that I believe that we are starting to see more and more, especially with what's come out about Sony and MCU.
Yeah.
Netflix's lease. Ooh. Netflix's lease on these characters, that there's so much red tape just to give us the entertainment and enjoyment that we crave.
Yeah.
And a lot of that red tape's starting to come to light. And it makes you wonder if that's going to start changing some things. Like, look, you're going to have to loosen your reins on some of these things. Like, back in the 90s, you didn't hear about a lot of this red tape. I think that this is more of a 2000s, past couple of years thing because of, and I don't want to go into too much of a rant, the growth of corporations. I think that the red tape gets thicker the bigger corporations get, and the more money starts flowing. So, I mean, Netflix has a lease on characters they're not even using, and they can't let them go till 20. That's bull crap. Let them be where they need to be.
Well, if they feel like there's still profit to be made in those shows that they have, then
that they pulled,
it makes sense.
They pulled them out of Netflix. They pulled every Defenders show. It's no longer on Netflix. Netflix pulled every bit of their Marvel stuff.
Well, I mean,
but they also won't give them away.
You know, there's some red tape we don't see, like that's caught up in contracts and all that stuff that makes no sense that we don't know about, or understand or whatever. But yeah, it seems pretty silly.
It's ridiculous. Final piece of news. Speaking of the 90s, they say that the greats always come back around. And, I mean, we've seen it with Full House, Rocko's Modern Life, and all that.
Invader Zim.
Invader Zim is back. Now we see a return of one of my favorites of all time. Two of my favorites, really. In the 90s. Are You Afraid of the Dark is coming back with special showings of 3 one-hour news stories and a new Midnight Society telling those stories. Ben from the new It movie, the younger version of Ben from the first It, has been cast in it, along with some other new faces in Hollywood. But that's not the thing I'm most excited about. Darkwing Duck.
Let's get dangerous.
That's right. The terror that flaps in the night. The weed whacker in the Garden of Evil. At a D23 panel, it was confirmed that in new episodes of DuckTales, that Darkwing will be making some appearances. And also, in future episodes, it was somewhat slipped that another marvelous superhero duck may be appearing in Duckburg.
Yeah, I believe Kevin Smith is involved in that.
He is. Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
I believe he will be done right. And we've seen Howard, in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Both installments had somehow shown Howard. Mm-hmm. And I think he was, even in those little tidbits, he was already done leaps and bounds better than that late
Seth
80s, early
Green.
90s.
Seth Green did the voice.
Seth Green
which
did
is
the
a perfect
voice.
choice.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And with Kevin Smith involved, he's going to do wonders. But you know why? Because he's a nerd. Mm-hmm. He's a fan.
Yeah.
Of the source material. And we constantly say on this show that if you are a fan of the source material, it is hard not to trust you because we know you are going to do it justice.
Right.
And that's about all I got today for the news, and that is your Nerd News. So I'm still pretty full from that lunch we had the other day.
Oh, I'm stuffed.
I'm telling you. For those of you who don't know, we have to get together and we pregame this whole episode week in and week out, and we sit down together and we have a meal, and we get our notes together and we plan the episodes out, and it's always at Akita.
Every time.
I mean, we could easily say, I feel like we could say another restaurant, like I'll meet you there, but for some reason the Force always takes us to Akita.
It's destiny.
We pull in and we're just like, wait, this isn't what we originally said. But, we're here anyway, so let's go.
We're on autopilot.
And we never leave unhappy.
Never.
And never leave hungry.
Not a chance.
You know, Akita is a family-owned restaurant, and they're always so smiley and happy to take your order and get refills. I mean, you can take one or two drinks, and they'll be like, you want a refill? Mm-hmm. I mean, they are just fantastic. Yeah. They're very timely. It's quite a lot of portions. Mm-hmm.
A full plate.
Full plate, and a very good price too. Mm-hmm. And I love getting to see Quan and the staff there, and sit down and talk nerd stuff with you about what we're gonna do this week, and still have a fantastic meal.
What did you order?
I got the. I always say I'm gonna go in and try something different, because they have different combinations that you can choose from, and I always wind up getting the chicken teriyaki, white rice, no vegetables. You always like, no vegetables. Gosh.
Yeah, that's true. You don't eat enough green stuff, but
Could
they
have
got
got a
lots
V8.
of that. They have the shrimp and chicken combination that you can get. I get that with no broccoli, extra mushrooms, so that's pretty good.
Do you feel like the mushrooms help you grow like Mario?
Yes.
So
that's where my extra lives come from.
Is that where they come from? Yeah. So every time you eat, it's like...
All thanks to Akita.
I'm telling you. Akita Express is fantastic. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend. And if you have not tried Akita, give it a chance. They are at 3100 East Morse Boulevard, right here in Morristown, Tennessee. And when you stop by, tell them 30 and Nerdy sent you.
Hey, we're too old to headbang like that, even if it's Power Rangers.
I hurt my neck.
Got a crick now.
So, what do you say we get into this thing?
I think it's time that we... On the 90's.
Oh, the 90's, baby.
What a time.
It really was a great time.
Yeah.
A lot has changed for nerds since our beloved decade has come and gone. The term nerd alone has changed. Kind of used to be used for ridicule, now is used in a much less negative connotation. Back then, nerds were represented by Steve Urkel, Dexter in his laboratory, Screech from Saved by the Bell, and of course the annoying mouth breather who was always standing behind Helga Pataki in Hey Arnold. Wham! What used to be thick glasses, thin builds, squeaky voices, and the outside of society is now much less of a negative stereotype. In a world where Game of Thrones has changed everything, cosplaying is cool, video game and comic book movies are king, and everyone wants to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
Take me with you.
Right? We nerds feel safer now more than ever. What used to be uber nerd is now hipster chic. For many, now nerd is a badge of pride. We now live in a world where nerds outnumber normals. That's what normies, whatever. Nerddom in the 90's, and even still today, it is associated with sci-fi, video games, comics, and fantasy, but we're fans of those things, but I truly feel it's kind of changed from what you love. it's more of what you love than how you love it. You don't have to be into computers and video games and science and chemistry to be a nerd. It really breaks down to what you have passion for. And a nerd can be anything that you may have passion for to a point where you can't be cool talking about it.
Yeah.
Like Supernatural.
Yeah.
Pops for you. It really can be any nerd. Theater nerd, comic book nerd, history nerd, video game nerd, or what have you. Nerds are everywhere, and we're taking over, man. For instance, the top 5 highest grossing films at the worldwide box office are as follows. Avengers Endgame, Avatar, Titanic, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and Avengers Infinity War. Now, Josh, how many of those come from our nerd world?
Hey, 4 out of 5 ain't bad.
4 out of 5 ain't bad. And if you were to continue going through just the next top 20, 11 of the next 15 are from the nerd world. But I digress. It's just nice to know that the little Tyler, when he was a shy little nerd in the 90s, would one day be a part of the masses. It truly has become Revenge of the Nerds. But enough of today's statistics. Let's nerd out about the 90s, brother. Ooh, I get goosebumps every time I hear that song. Oh, I loved that show.
Man, you remember in when the song played at the beginning of the show and like the dude's walking, it's R.L. Stein's walking down the street and the pages fly out of his.
Yes.
But there's a part where there's a dog laying on a porch and he turns and looks at the camera and his eyes turn green. It used to scare me to death when I was
the green ooze. Goosebumps was some of the best parts of the 90s because it really kind of carried on. Are You Afraid of the Dark only lasted a few seasons. Mm-hmm. And Goosebumps kind of picked up that scary 90s vibe and was like, I'm going to run with this.
I would venture to say, though, that Are You Afraid of the Dark might have been scarier than Goosebumps.
It was actually scarier. Yeah. Like, there was one Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, and of course it was in a comic book shop, but there was a dadgum clown with black blood or whatever dripping out. And then also, there was the episode about the pool and the invisible creatures that drown people. And they ended up being... We had just put in our pool when I first saw that, and I was like, I ain't swimming. You're out of your mind if I think I wouldn't be caught dead in the water. But there were so many things in the 90s that elevated it to the best decade.
Let's talk about some of the other shows that we liked in the 90s.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've talked about Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark. What else do you remember as a 90s kid, little Tyler, getting off the school bus at the end of a long day? What do you remember about it? As far as TV goes.
X-Men, the animated series.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Batman.
I watched it. And Batman. All that stuff came on Fox, right?
Yes.
So I would go to my grandma's
Fox
house.
43.
And she had the bunny ears, I had to like make them a certain way. And sometimes Batman, I couldn't see a thing, but I could hear it really well, and I could see like little shadows.
Song
yeah. And I could always see his eyes were so white.
Yes.
And then the silhouettes of the bad guys, like they're breaking into that place, you turn and you see their eyes. That always stood out on my grandma's TV, but the rest of it I was like, wait, what's going on?
Is that Mr. Freeze?
What?
I don't know who that is.
So
Animaniacs. That whole like little block of like Warner Brothers, Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid. Like all three of those were kind of back to back to back.
Yeah.
Pinky and the Brain was actually a short within Animaniacs.
Yeah, I remember that.
It?
Yeah. There were several different shorts in the Animaniacs, but I don't remember a lot of them except for Pinky and the Brain.
There were some more, but I don't think there were.
What were the names of the three little characters?
The
for Animaniacs.
The Warners.
Yeah.
Yakko, Wacko, and Dot.
That's it.
And actually, if you go onto one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch is it's called Twisted Tunes, and they get all these old voice actors from like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, like Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, they got them together and they read Empire Strikes Back. The script read.
It's kind of like the time that they got Winnie the Pooh to read Darth Vader lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a clip from Twisted Tunes.
Yeah, that's
that
a
you
great
saw.
idea.
And they get like Jim Cummings and Nolan North and Troy Baker and all these people, and they'll just put out a movie script like Tombstone or Jurassic Park or any of those. And they'll say, okay, we're going to do scene 1, and you're going to play this character, this character, this character, but you're doing Winnie the Pooh, you're doing Wacko, you're doing Brain, and so they just go through this, and I'm just like, that really hits you just if you'll close your eyes. And that's what I love about voice actors is anybody could play anybody. Like, I don't look like Superman, but I could voice Superman or Batman or anything like that.
Kevin Conroy certainly doesn't look like Batman.
No, he certainly doesn't look like Batman. But then if you just close your eyes and watch that Twisted Tunes and hearing like Yakko talk like Palpatine from Star Wars, and Pooh Bear going, "Oh, General," it brings more 90's nostalgia back, like crazy. Other than that, though, I'm pretty sure the first thing I rushed home to see was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was 3:30 every day.
Was it really?
Here in Morristown, it was 3:30 every day. So it was like, I was like, the bell would ring at 3, and I'd be like, come on.
See, I had quite a journey home from school every day, usually, but I remember throwing a fit if I didn't get in front of the TV in time to see Power Rangers every day. That was my first major obsession, I would say, in the nerd
and fun
arena.
Fact, she was my first crush.
Kimberly,
the Pink Ranger, was my first.
I loved.
Crush as a kid.
You'll never guess who my first love was.
90's. Cartoon or real life?
Real life.
I don't know who.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
The original Sabrina.
Melissa Joan Hart. Every
She's married
Friday
to
night.
Joe. She's married to Joey now.
Are they really married in real
Yeah.
life? Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Those were 3 brothers that had a show in the 90's too, Brotherly Love.
I remember that.
Joe, Andy, and Matthew Lawrence?
Yes. And
Yes.
one of them was on Boy Meets World for a long time.
Yes, Matthew Lawrence was on Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Joey was a mechanic with his mom, and I didn't write that. That just hit me. Like, I didn't even write that in my notes. Like, I remember that show now.
I remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I remember, like, on Friday nights, they had this thing on ABC called TGI. Thank God It's Friday.
Yes.
And that had, like, Family Matters, so, like, Steve
Whatever
Urkel.
happened to...
Boy Meets World, I think, was on there. Sabrina. And you could always... Another great thing about 90's was Home Improvement. Tim Allen. I used to love that show, all the Tool Time stuff.
Yeah.
Man. We had Fresh Prince
Fresh Prince of
in
Bel-Air.
the 90s.
Technically, was it Full House was 89? Was it technically
I remember watching
started,
Full House
but
growing
Full House
up.
went to like
Yeah.
95, 96.
It was never one of my favorites, really.
The best part on it to me was Uncle Joey.
I liked Uncle Joey, too.
He was funny.
Yeah.
Dave Coulier was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was the me out of the family. So,
But I liked Steve Urkel the best.
oh my! Did I do that?
He was one of my favorites.
Then there was those episodes where he would drink the potion and turn into
Stefan.
Stefan.
He had
baby.
a machine that he
Yeah.
would stand in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they actually finally got split into 2.
I don't
At
remember
one
that.
point, they got
Really?
split into 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they were both vying for who was he in
Laura.
love with? Laura.
Lara.
Lara. Hey. Of course, you didn't really follow this next show like I did, Dragon Ball Z. Mm-hmm. You didn't follow it as much as I did.
No, not really at all.
Dragon Ball Z did not hit America until like 94, 95.
Yeah.
But it was huge in Japan. Because obviously that's where it was created. So, after Dragon Ball Z, I would say my other memories are... What came on after Dragon Ball Z was a show called Reboot.
I remember that.
It was pretty cool.
CG.
Yeah, it was CG. It was
Very,
really kind of the birthplace of CG.
It was way ahead of its time, I
Yeah.
would say.
And And I always just loved this premise that they'd just be going about their day and a GameCube would drop. And they had to play the game.
I seem to remember hearing about them rebooting Reboot at some point.
It's in the works, but it's in the very slow works.
Yeah.
Very slow works.
I don't feel like there's much of a demand for a reboot of Reboot, though. You know?
I mean, I think there's a farcity in rebooting a show called Reboot in general.
I think you're right.
And of course, Gargoyles. Remember that show?
I do.
The Keenan Peele are wanting to turn it into a live-action movie.
Oh, okay.
I think he'd be great because I mean he did Get Out.
Yeah.
And what was the one he recently did?
Us.
Yeah. It was creepy.
I didn't see it.
And he's redoing the Twilight Zone.
I did see Get Out though.
Get Out was good.
Yeah.
And scary.
Yeah.
And worrisome. But yeah, and of course, Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
All that.
Oh man, Nickelodeon lineup too, like Keenan and Kel and all that.
Who loves orange soda?
Kel loves orange soda.
Kel loves orange soda.
It's true.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Ah, here it goes.
Yeah. He would get like, remember they had the opening where they were like on a stage in front of a curtain or something, and they'd have a thing at the end too. And Kel would. Which one was it? One of them would
Keenan would say, "Kel, meet me at my house, and I need this, and this,
a soldering iron, 3 bags of flour, and
a horse, And he'd walk away.
Where am I gonna get a horse? Why do we need that much flour? Oh, here you go. Yeah.
Nickelodeon had a heck of a lineup.
We've already mentioned Rocco's Modern Life. We had Cat Dog. Remember Cat Dog?
It was strange. Because Cat Dog, there was a... Was it Cat Dog that had the short Cow and Chicken? Or was Cat Dog and Cow and Chicken separate? Because Cow and Chicken was weird.
I don't know. I can't remember.
There was also Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Weird. Very weird show. Like, disturbing weird sometimes. Because it's like earlier you talked about... It showed nasty things, like
it was kind of
hairs
gross
on a pimple.
Yeah,
and they'd zoom in on like Ren's pimple, and it'd be all disgusting, and it'd have like a nucular factory coming out of it. And
it'd probably be oozy and like steam coming off of it.
It's just nasty, just weird.
And sometimes, if you weren't careful, you'd have a moist Band-Aid. Oh, God. I knew I would find a way to sneak that in again someday.
Oh, my God.
Yes. But that is something you would have seen on a 90's Nickelodeon cartoon, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Don't die.
That's awful.
But it's true.
You threw me off there. I need water. But we also had, like, in that Nickelodeon lineup, there was, Real Monsters.
Yeah. Do you remember the thing on Friday nights? It was like, there was a lineup of, like, The Secret Life of Alex Mack, and you remember Kablam?
Kablam!
And it had all the different little shorts.
Shorts with toys.
The Melting Man, and then Naked Man.
Of course I do.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
I loved The Secret Life of Alex Mack.
I did too.
She was also an early crush. I was like, oh, this.
Yeah, I loved her.
Beautiful.
She was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes, she was. She was the younger sister.
Yeah, she was Bianca. Bianca and Katerina, because that's based on Shakespeare.
Yeah, Taming of the Shrew.
Taming of the Shrew. Very good.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could probably do an entire episode on shows alone.
Don't tempt me.
We'll come back with Nerdin in the 90's too, by God.
You know what? I pride myself on this, okay?
Okay.
As a 90's kid, I had seen every episode of Rugrats. Doug. Hey Arnold. And there's probably a couple more that I'd seen every episode of. But, like, I would just, every night, 8 o'clock, they would do 1 hour, or 7 o'clock, 1 hour of Rugrats, and I watched it without fail every single night. And Doug would come on before that, I think. I love Doug. Hey, Pork Chop.
Hey, Pork
Do you know that?
what are you doing, funny?
You remember that Patty Mayonnaise? Patty
Friend
Mayonnaise.
zone.
The actress who did her voice, she's from Johnson City, just up the road from us here.
I did not know that.
She went on to be on The Orange Is the New Black. She was Yoga Jones. That's Patty Mayonnaise, man.
Oh my gosh!
And
I can hear it.
If you go back and watch, you can't unhear it now. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's Patty. And you're welcome to anybody else who just learned that.
Someone, there were probably minds blown all across.
People had to pull over if they're driving.
Yeah, podcast waves are like, whoa.
The doctor strikes again. He just
Doc.
gave me a shot of nerdledge right to the thigh.
Right to the thigh. Oh man, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I
Can't unhear it.
I can't unhear it now. But yeah, we could talk about shows. I mean,
Some people are like really excited about the news I just gave them, and some people could be falling asleep because Madison's here as our audience today, and she's passed out. We put her to sleep. So I hope that we're not that boring to everybody else.
she's never really claimed to be a nerd, so
She has so much to learn. She's got to wake up and take notes. We'll fill her in later.
Yeah.
I guess we record for a reason. All right, should we move on?
Also the 90s was the best time for wrestling.
100%.
There's no argument. If anyone wants to argue, they'll get the Smacketh down. They'll get a mud stomping. They'll get a rock bottom, a sweet chin music, a pedigree, because the 90s wars, the Monday Night Wars, made the 90s the greatest generation of wrestling ever.
Whether you are a fan of wrestling or not, you probably remember, like if you're our age, you remember going to school and people had their NWO shirts or the DX shirts or their Stone Cold shirts. Stone Cold was the biggest during that time.
Yeah, 316, Austin 316.
Everybody had the Stone Cold, like there's the one where he was in the corner with his arms up, and there was like his arms kind of turned into like snakes, the rattlesnakes, because he was the rattlesnake.
Yeah.
And I had every NWO Wolfpack shirt that they made, the red and black Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Because I was a big Sting fan. Sting was my hero. So every single thing they did with Red Sting or the Wolfpack or NWO, I had it. I was a WCW kid.
One of the very few people to join the NWO during that era was Sting. And DDP also never joined.
DDP had that time where he faked everybody out. Like he put on the NWO shirt,
Yeah.
like he was going to join Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
And then he dropped him into the cutter.
And then he, pow,
Bang.
yep. He was a
Bang.
true hero.
Yes, he was.
I remember the Goldberg streak.
You know, and how they screwed him over and broke it and cheated, and fans all over the world were distraught.
When Scott Hall shocked him with a cattle prod.
Yes, when Hogan went heel.
That was big.
Formed the NWO. That was like I said it in the wrestling podcast that I had to do when you were sick. That's literally like when Captain America said Hell Hydra. That's, you know.
I would say, like, if you're a wrestling fan today and you weren't back then, Hulk Hogan turning to a bad guy would be the equivalent of John Cena turning into a bad guy today, except probably it was bigger at the time.
It was bigger at the time.
Because Cena's kind of on his way out anyway.
Yeah.
He's not really around much anymore. But if he were still like the number one, you know,
There
selling
night in,
merchandise,
night out. Yeah.
the hero, and he turned to a bad guy, everybody would know about it. And that's kind of like what happened with Hulk Hogan. You go back and look at the footage and like people
were throwing
threw
stuff.
garbage. The ring was full of...
Well, because also at that time there was no kayfabe. I mean, there was. There was
not
kayfabe.
as widespread. The internet wasn't as
yeah,
big of a deal.
The
at
internet
the
was
time.
not as big of a deal, so a good guy turning bad was a real thing to us because there was no on Twitter the next night him tweeting a joke.
Yeah.
You know, there was no total divas seeing behind the scenes. They're actually nice people.
Yeah.
You know, that truly was like, oh my God, our hero has betrayed us. And being kids in the 90s, you know, that was what you talked about was, oh my God,
Every
Hulk
day.
Hogan went bad. You know, now he's doing this. They just destroyed,
Yeah.
you know, Sting. They just destroyed, you know, Ric Flair's joined him now. You know, I mean, Hogan and Ric Flair are not supposed to be partners in anything.
So I started out as a WCW kid.
Yeah.
That's what I got into first. But eventually, it didn't take long for me to figure out, all the, little bit more raunchy stuff is on the WWF. So I'm going to switch over there when Mom's not in the room. And, because they had, like, the pretty ladies walk out in the
bikini matches.
In the questionable clothing. And they had bra and panty matches. And they had Stone Cold with beer trucks and stuff like that.
DX.
And DX and all the
they had
hijinks
two
they
words
got into.
for you.
And so I was the kid that switched back and forth. There used to be a button on our remote called recall. Yeah. So it would go straight back to the channel you're on. So I would hit that at commercials and just switch back and forth and back and forth.
And the crazy thing about the Monday Night Wars is what shot WCW in the foot, because WCW was winning the wars.
83 weeks. They were ahead.
83 weeks they won the ratings. And out of his arrogance, Bischoff spoiled the ending, because at that time WWF was having to record their show for that moment.
Bischoff, he means Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff was basically the president of WCW. He worked for Ted Turner in the 90s. And so he went and got the results of the WWF matches, and he would have his announcers tell everybody the outcome so they wouldn't feel like they had to watch their show. They would stay on WCW. But when they made the announcement that Mick Foley
won the heavyweight championship,
Mick Foley's going to win their title or whatever, everybody loved Mick Foley, so everybody wanted to see it. So everybody switched over and saw it. Yeah.
And that really started the decline, because then when they turned their channels, they were introduced to not just Mankind, but DX, Stone Cold, The Rock.
What's one big wrestling moment from the 90s that you remember seeing, like, as it happened on TV?
As it happened?
Like, you remember that moment.
The attack on when NWO attacked, there was an outdoor match.
They were at Disney.
And
Kevin Nash.
Jimmy comes flying in going, "They're here! They're here!"
Jimmy Hart?
Yeah, Jimmy Hart. "The NWO is
That's
here!"
when Kevin Nash picked up Rey Mysterio and threw him into that
18-wheeler trailer.
Yeah, like he was a lawn dart.
Yeah, just wham! And like it was just this battle, this like end of Game of Thrones, like people fighting throughout Disney.
So people in the surrounding area, because people still thought a lot of that stuff was real. And this is a big brawl going on. People called the police because they, saw this fighting going on. They weren't sure what was happening. And the cops came because they didn't know, until they got there. Oh, it's wrestling. It's a show. It's a work. So the thing I remember seeing live was, do you remember the finger poke of doom?
Oh, screw, yeah.
When Hulk Hogan kind of poked Kevin Nash and he just fell on the mat and he pinned him, and then all the good guys joined the bad guys. I was devastated, man, because I was such a big fan of the Wolfpack and Kevin Nash and all them. I remember that night after it was over, I went to my room and I got all of my Wolfpack shirts that I've already talked about, and I set them out of my room on the doorknob, and I told my
"Get
mom,
them out of here!
Getting rid of these. I shan't be needing them anymore.
I don't want these anymore.
Kevin Nash betrayed me."
All right, so on to video games.
Yeah.
This was a big time for Nintendo 64.
PlayStation
Early 90s
1.
was Super Nintendo.
Sega Genesis.
PlayStation 1, poor Sega Genesis.
Do you remember the Game Gear?
Yeah, I do.
The big blue
big
honking thing?
Yeah.
I remember, we were allowed to bring stuff to school, and my friend had a Game Gear with the Power Rangers game on it. And so, if I finished all my work, I was allowed to play with stuff.
Yeah.
So I would ask to borrow my friend's Game Gear, and they would let me play it in class with the volume down.
Wow.
This is a long time. This is like first grade.
Yeah.
So that cute little picture you put up of me for the little promo and in my Vol shirt, that was probably around the same time that I'd have been playing that Power Rangers
Game
Gear game.
I did not have a Game Gear. I had the big hunk and gray brick Game Boy.
I remember that too.
With the red and blue Pokemon games.
The original? Are you talking about the original Game Boy?
Yeah, the big gray brick
that had no color.
Yeah, no color. I loved it. You had the original red and blue version of Pokemon before it just got too big of a universe to even worry about, like nowadays.
I just remember playing Mario on that.
Yeah, there was
there was an
Mario
old
Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, and there was an old like a Batman game of some sort that I remember playing on that too.
It was based off of the first Tim Burton Batman.
I guess
was what
so.
that game was based off of.
Yeah,
the '89 Batman.
I guess so.
Actually, no, sorry, the Returns with the circus.
Oh, with like
and
Penguin and
and
Catwoman. Yeah, okay.
The big games that came out of the '90s, you would have to be crazy to think that Ocarina of Time and GoldenEye were not two of the biggest games played all around the world in the '90s.
Yeah.
Mario, whether it was Mario 64, Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, Mario was
World.
king. Mario was king.
Always.
You know,
did you have a Nintendo 64 as a kid?
I did.
Did you play Mario 64?
Of course.
That was the reason I wanted the Nintendo 64. That was such a fun game. I remember the day I beat it, I was so excited. I couldn't believe that I'd done it because I thought that Bowser was so challenging. You remember you had to grab him by the tail? You had to throw him into the bombs. Yeah. One of my favorite things in Mario is that, like, that was the first game that I remember there being like such a big, massive, open type world. Like running around outside in the grass before you go in the castle, in the castle. There are all kinds of tricks
that you jump into.
Do you remember there before you had enough stars, there was a door you could go up. There was a staircase. Hallway. The staircase never ended. You just kept going and going and going and going and going.
You had to have 20 stars.
Yeah.
Because you had to have 5 stars to go down the hallway where towards Bowser's picture. Or Peach's picture.
Yeah.
And then the floor dropped out from under you.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
There was one room, it was in the upstairs part, there was a big mirror, and one of the levels was in a mirror, but you could stand and look in the mirror, and you had the little camera guy in the cloud behind you. He was following you around.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite things was like in the hot levels with their lava, and you could like touch the lava, and he would... You remember that?
Yeah, he'd grab his butt and be like,
yeah. Wah, wah, wahoo! So much fun.
Anything Mario, man. I mean, Mario Kart, Super Smash. I loved the first time Super Smash came for Nintendo 64, and the commercial was all of them running in a field like Mario, Pikachu, Zelda, Star Fox.
So happy together. Yeah.
And then they just start fighting each other.
Yeah, I remember
like,
that.
What the heck is going on? Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I was never any good at it, though, until later in life.
The biggest memory I have of the Mortal Kombat games was every time you uppercut somebody, a little guy would pop out and go, whoopsie!
I don't remember that.
Donkey Kong was huge.
Street Fighter.
I
was better at Street Fighter than Mortal Kombat because I always picked the guy that had the stretchy legs that did the kick.
Yeah, the Indian.
I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, he did the pow, 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 pow kick.
Because you just keep people away.
Yeah, I would just spam people with the kick.
You were the people that I hated.
Well, I didn't have brothers or sisters or anybody my own age to play with, so when I got to actually play with someone and they knew how to play competitively and I didn't, I just had to survive, you know?
Speaking of I had an older brother, Christopher, and he had a PlayStation 1. And I think I told you this off air the other day. Last week you asked me what it was like to be in that stadium when Georgia State beat us. And I told you, when I was like 10, 11 years old, back in the 90s, and my older brother was playing NCAA football on the PlayStation 1, he'd always try to include me, but I was terrible. Like, I didn't know what button to push, I didn't know which way to run, I didn't know how to tackle. That's how we looked. We looked like 90's Tyler trying to play NCAA football with his older brother, not knowing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, we looked like I was controlling them at the age of 9. So, and that always sticks out to me. So I was like, he tried to get me to play football games with him, and I sucked. But he'd never, flip the coin over and say, now I'd like to try to beat Tyler at Mortal Kombat. But he couldn't. So...
You had it all figured out, huh?
I did. I had it all figured out. It was a great time for video games, too. I mean, we had great systems.
We got to live through like the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64 and PlayStation eras. Those were the first systems that I had.
Yeah. Those first 3 systems, launched what we have now.
Do you remember the old demo disc that you could get for the PlayStation?
Like 12 games on it.
It would, yeah. You could play. I mean, it was.
There was a Spyro on it. Bandicoot. Crash
Medieval.
Bandicoot. Medieval was the one with the skeleton, right?
Yeah.
Earthworm Jim game.
They're gonna redo Medieval. Like, they're gonna re-release it on PS4, remastered and everything. And I was actually just playing that like 3 or 4 weeks ago with Jack and David.
Just for the heck of it?
Yeah, David has this weird like little port thing that has dozens of PlayStation games. Like, it had the old WCW Nitro, it had SmackDown 2, there was like a Simpsons boxing game on there.
Yeah.
Cool borders, all the first 3 Tomb Raider games, stuff like that. Medieval was on there, and I was like, guys, we have to play Medieval because I had the demo as a kid on the demo disc. It had the same one as Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah.
It was a tough game.
Yes.
Being a kid playing the first Metal Gear.
Yes.
It was a very tough game.
I always got so stressed when I would hide in the boxes and stuff because I just felt like they were going to see me.
So, we had tons of games. Moving on. Movies. Film.
Boy.
Cinema. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The live action movies.
The first Power Rangers movie.
Yes, with Ivan Ooze.
Mm-hmm.
Teenagers. Who played? That was
the
Grandpa
guy.
Munster.
No. Maybe in the remake thing they did.
The Ivan Ooze.
He was the guy from Indiana Jones, one of the guys that got his face melted off.
Played Ivan Ooze?
Yes. He was Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
One of the German guys.
No, he was English, but he was working with them. But he was one of the dudes that got his face melted. And
Ivan Ooze was a great villain.
Yes. So that was one of my. There was like a handful of cassette tapes that I had that if I was home from school or it was summer, weekend or whatever, I had like a little stack of movies that I would just watch over and over and over again. And one of them was the Power Rangers movie. Another one was Muppet Treasure Island. Did you do that one?
Tim Curry.
Yes, sir.
Plays,
he was Long John Silver.
Long John Silver.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And also Space Jam was one that I watched over and over.
I saw that one in the theaters, but I never was like a big like.
Well, fun story. I actually got to watch Michael Jordan play baseball.
Oh,
as a
really?
kid. His farm
underwhelming.
team before he tried to go to the majors came to Knoxville to play, and he sucked.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he was terrible. the The movie did not hold back. They were right. He sucked at playing
I think
baseball.
he knew that though.
Yeah.
Oh, you have Rockadoodle listed on here.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
remember that?
For sure.
Rockadoodles on the
Yes. How about Disney original movies? They had
Genius.
one a month.
Yeah. Smart House.
That was probably early 2000s more than 90s,
Yeah.
but, still childhood.
Yeah.
But I looked forward to those every month.
Me and Logan, if ever we're playing Fortnite, for some reason we always quote Rockadoodle. He always quotes Duke and Uncle Dookie. Uncle Dookie.
I don't think I remember
Uncle
it well
Dookie.
enough to quote it.
What about Five Goes West?
I didn't watch that one.
I loved Five Goes West.
I did also Toy Story was one of my repeats.
Mm-hmm.
I probably to this day know almost every word to Toy Story. The first one on
Yeah. You are a sad, strange
little man. You are a toy. You are a child's plaything. You are an action figure.
And with that, with VHSs, with movies, one thing we cannot forget with the 90s was Blockbuster.
Oh, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Blockbuster. Blockbuster, Surge.
Surge.
Domino's.
Sometimes you can still get Surge, man.
Yeah.
I had a couple of cases that I ordered on Amazon a while back.
A Friday night for me in the 90s was a Surge, 3D Doritos, and a movie I'd rent from Blockbuster. That was a 90s Friday night for me.
I watched ECW wrestling on Friday nights, though. So.
The ECW.
Yeah, the original.
The original Extreme Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, I was one of those guys.
Did you ever remember an animated movie, The Princess and the Goblin?
No.
I had it on VHS. It was one, and the Page Master too was one I watched like crazy. I could, I can't anymore, but I could almost quote it like constantly. I'd just sit there and say the lines with
I've
them.
only seen Page Master a
I
couple of times.
loved Page Master because it was after Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin was already
I remember it.
huge.
Did you? I don't know what elementary school was like for you, but I remember in kindergarten, we were still babies, so every Friday, if our class had a good week, we could watch a movie at the end of the day every Friday. And so it was always some Disney movie or whatever was big, like Page Master and probably like James and the Giant Peach and stuff like that.
I think Disney, the 90's alone and Disney were better.
Oh, yeah. Lion King, Aladdin.
Tarzan was 90's.
Was Treasure Planet in the 90's? That was a Disney thing. It was like the sci-fi Treasure Planet.
Yeah. I want to say it was early 2000s.
Might have been. I can't remember.
My favorite underrated Disney movie, it's not a 90's movie. It's actually like 87, I think, was The Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah.
But I watched it religiously in the 90's.
Do you remember the old, like certain Nickelodeon movies, the case would be orange?
Yeah, I had a Harriet the Spy orange tape.
Flubber was a green tape.
Was a green tape. I had the Rugrats in Paris orange tape.
Oh, I remember that.
The Wild Thornberrys movie orange tape.
The
Spy was fantastic.
Do you remember like
had Rosie O'Donnell in it? You remember that?
Exactly.
I loved that movie.
Do you remember like probably the first episode of the podcast we did? You asked the question about like, do you have a relic from your childhood or something like that? And I couldn't really think of anything big, but I'm looking right now on this bottom shelf in the back. There's this gold box. It looks like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So that was the first set of the original trilogy of Star Wars that I ever had. I got that for Christmas.
On VHS.
Yeah. That was like, I was probably 7, Christmas when I was like 7 or 8 maybe. And this was when the special editions had just come out.
That's awesome.
And that was the first set that I owned right there. And I'll never part with that.
Oh, so, no. No,
just
you
while we're speaking of VHS and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wore those things out, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Remember The Witches? Angelica Houston was in it?
Yes.
Creepy. Scary.
Do you remember Wild Wild West, Will Smith?
Absolutely. And Kevin Kline. Mm-hmm. And it had... that is where I think... That and the movie Tombstone was where I kind of fell in love with the Georgia Southern accent, because the bad guy in Wild West had this ridiculous Southern accent.
That was Gilderoy Lockhart.
It was. And like, I did not find that out until Chamber of Secrets came out, and I was looking on IMDb and stuff. I was like, no.
Yeah.
He played the bad guy and did this ridiculous, foghorn leghorn accent.
I had the same moment because I looked him up too.
Oh my god, what an immersive actor! Mm-hmm. Well, and you said he was Shakespearean trained, and he's just brilliant, fantastic. So, I mean, again, even in the 90's, tons of movies we could talk about till the sun comes up. But you've got to teach, and I've got to work. Sadly, So,
and the show must go on.
The show must go on. But the last one I would end with was Jurassic Park.
Oh, how could we
forget Jurassic Park? The shaking water, Jeff Goldblum's weird delivery.
Which Batman movie was the first one that got you like really into it? Was it the first one?
Sadly, I did not see the Jack Nicholson one until I had seen Returns, because Returns came out in 91, I think. Because the original Batman was 89, the year I was born, and we were both born. And the first one I remember watching was the one with the penguin, and Walken was Shrek, and Catwoman was Michelle Pfeiffer. So then Mom went back and got the Joker one.
I remember I saw a little bit of Batman Returns with Penguin and everything, but I was so scared of Penguin, and I was so young. So I couldn't finish it.
Terrifying as the Penguin.
But I got the Batman Forever with Riddler and all that. I got that as a gift one time, and that was another one that I did on repeat.
Yeah,
was Batman Forever, the Val Kilmer one. Yeah, I have fond memories of it, but now it doesn't really hold up the same.
It does not hold up. Moving on to 90s music.
Oh boy.
The boy band era. The time of bop.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this right now. Were you an NSYNC guy or were you a Backstreet Boys guy? As much as one like us would have been at that time. Let's put it that way. We weren't like putting posters up in our rooms or anything like that.
But at the time, I've never actually been cornered and asked.
Can't believe you have to think this hard.
Well, I mean, I've never been asked this. Like, I have went my entire life.
You should know, man. Without having to think.
It was NSYNC.
Okay, that is the correct answer.
When I was in 5th grade, I went to see NSYNC live in Knoxville. And during Never Neverland, JT was above me. Right.
Wow.
Above me. And it was life-changing.
JT is a man.
The man. A quintuple threat.
Mm-hmm.
A sextuple threat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think JT can do anything.
Hecta-threat. Octa-threat.
Infinity threat.
Yeah. He can do whatever the heck he's one of those people you're just like, he picks it up and he does it well.
He has the Midas touch.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, I didn't hate Backstreet Boys. I
didn't either.
was an NSYNC guy. You know,
NSYNC was better.
I thought their whole theatricality was better, I felt like. I think there was more story to the music videos they let out.
Backstreet Boys did do one like on hovercraft or something like that.
Larger Than Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was when they were in space.
They had like an animated video too, didn't they?
And they also had Backstreet's Back was in the movie Casper because it was done in the mansion, the Casper Mansion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And then they did this scary like breakdown dance of go back and look at the Backstreet's Back video and it's in Casper, the original Casper, the good Casper movie.
I'll get right on
Christina
that.
Ricci. Yeah, okay. After I leave.
Yeah, it's the first thing I'm going to do.
All right, cool.
Go back and look for Backstreet Boys and Casper.
Yeah. Cool. Grunge was the 90s rock. You had Nirvana.
Yeah, but I
didn't get into it.
I wasn't a Nirvana fan until I was a teenager.
I wasn't a Nirvana fan until he died. Because I didn't start listening to Nirvana until I heard that the lead singer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit that. Like, when the lead singer, Kurt Cobain, shot himself, I was like, who's Kurt Cobain? And
yeah, but we were really young when that happened.
We were young. We were in elementary school when it happened. It's not like we were in high school. Yeah,
to me, it was no big thing until I was a teenager and discovered it. And I was like, yeah, this guy's angry. I like it.
And Korn was 90s. Late 90s.
Guess.
Early Korn was late 90s.
Maybe. I can't confirm or deny that.
Like, seriously, like, I know grunge was the 90s rock choice, and punk also, but I didn't listen.
I wasn't into any of that stuff then.
Yeah. I was listening to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and 90s country. Like Tim McGraw.
Yeah,
Kenny
I did that too.
Alan Jackson.
And I listened to the oldies station, like, the 50s and 60s music.
Yeah, we were
70s.
raised on vinyl records at our house.
Yeah.
Like, there'd be times where Mom or Dad would just put on the Eagles or the Beatles on the vinyl record player, and we'd just listen to that. So I was really raised on the likes of Jackson Browne, and not really raised on what my friends were listening to.
Around this area, we have 103.5, the radio station. It's the classic rock station. That's what my mom played in the car, so I grew up on that.
And classic rock station is now playing
Nirvana,
90s music.
Dude, one day they played Nickelback.
Oh God!
And I was like, "What is the world coming to? How?"
First off, are we that old?
Yes.
Second off, Nickelback.
And it wasn't even like
good Nickelback.
Yeah, it wasn't even like the earlier, like, not the whiny nonsense.
Look at this book.
Yeah, that nonsense. So, anyway.
Moving on. So, some things that we kind of stepped over on, just a little do you remember. And I think our buddy Alex put a comment on Facebook and said you have to talk about this cartoon Street Sharks.
So here it is. We're going to talk about it, but I'm just going to say I didn't know much about it.
I had all the toys. They were these big Street Shark money banks, and I had them Like, there was the red shark, the dark blue shark, the gray shark. There was a fourth one. I can never remember the fourth one, but they were all piggy banks. And it was a weird cartoon.
I was never...
It was kind of like they tried to be the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but with sharks.
I remember there being shark
Yeah.
things like that. I didn't know that's what they were called.
The street sharks.
Hang
is
on,
what
I'm
they were called.
gonna throw
Yeah.
this in the Google machine.
Yeah, go ahead and ask her.
Street sharks. See if this hits me back. Yeah, okay, I remember this for sure. Did they have it? So they had a show?
Yeah, it was a cartoon.
I think I remember there being a video game of it.
I don't remember a video game. There was an arcade game at Twilight for a long time. Twilight skating rink. But yeah, I had 3 of the 4. They were like these big rubber piggy bank toys.
3 seasons, 40 episodes.
Of street sharks.
Did you remember the Nematodes game? Battletoads.
Oh my gosh.
Battletoads, you know?
I cannot believe you just said that. Okay, there's this running joke with me and Logan and our old friend Nick Ivy. Remember him?
Yes.
He used to ask us constantly
About Battletoads?
about Battletoads. And Logan and me had no memory of it, so I'd just be like, "You're making that up." I'm like, "No, I swear to God," he'd get all fit and rage. Like, "I swear to God, it's a game."
They could like turn their arms into weapons and stuff. Like
Battle. I
hammers
cannot believe you said that.
Yeah, Battletoads.
You're the second person I've ever heard mention that game's name.
From 1991. Starring 3 anthropomorphic toads named after skin conditions: rash, zits, and pimple. I didn't know that. The series was created to rival the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game series.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Battletoads.
I was actually really good at that game. And there was a cartoon of it that came out later.
It's kind of like when they made the Beetleborgs to try to be the Power Rangers.
Yeah, and it was terrible.
It's awful.
Remember they had like the weird clown guy that
He
was...
was Flabber, the ghost. He was the head of the house. There was also a vampire, a werewolf, and a mummy, I think.
I remember it, and I remember I
lived with
hated
them.
it. I was like, you're trying to
They
be Power
tried.
Rangers,
They
and you
tried.
suck at it.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Those dudes would jump out in the hallway and
Did
grab
anyone
the
ever
kids.
win?
Probably.
I never saw a game where anyone ever won.
Do you remember there being another game show like that on Nickelodeon where, like, they had to climb up a big mountain and they had to... There was a big track they could run around to do a victory lap?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look up what it was because it's gonna drive me crazy. But yeah, it was like a serious thing. It wasn't gimmicky like Legends of the Hidden Temple where they had to go through, like...
They're making a movie.
Yes.
Legends
I do know
of the
about
Hidden
that.
Temple. They could seriously make that some scary stuff.
Hey, apparently Dora the Explorer was really good. The movie they did on it.
Oh, yeah, I saw the trailer.
So, I heard it was good.
Well, they kind of high school adulted it. It wasn't a kid's movie. It was somewhat serious. So...
Well, I'm trying to look up the name of that show that I was talking about, but a lot of things just popped up. Is it Global Guts, maybe?
Global Guts?
Global Guts, Nickelodeon All-Star Challenge, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Double Dare.
Remember Double Dare?
Yeah, Figure It Out. I loved Summer
Figure It
Sanders. Wild and Crazy Kids. What Would You Do?
What
You're
would
on.
you do?
Rocket Power. That was in the 2000s.
That was a cartoon. Rocket Power?
Yeah, it was the
Woody,
2000s
Woody.
anyway. But I remember that. Yeah. Anyway.
There were some very odd themed game shows. And was your dream as a kid in
To
the
be
90s?
slimed?
Yes.
Yes.
It was always my dream.
Yes, bro.
I always wanted to be slimed.
That's all I wanted. Like, they had the thing sometimes at the end of certain shows, like, if you want to be a contestant on
Yes.
this show, I probably sent like 50 of those little letters to those
P.O.
places
boxes.
because I wanted so badly to be slimed. and
Like,
it
I'll
never
lose on
happened.
purpose. I just want to get slimed.
Yeah.
God,
I'm just trying, like, I remember watching Figure It Out, like, trying to think, do I have any sort of talent that I could use to get by with getting on this show? No, I don't have any.
A popular Nickelodeon show, kid.
Yeah, and I didn't have anything. So,
You have talents. Don't
Well,
you dare let a Nickelodeon sweepstakes show.
When I was 7, I didn't have many talents except for video games, so
Oh man.
I wasn't alone in that.
So I thought that I did a little research. We like our lists here.
Sure.
Our charts. I gotta have my charts, Josh. And I thought I'd top 10 some different things from 90s.
All right, let's do it.
So first off, the top 10 shows of the 90s according to Screen Rant. Number 10, and not all these, I'm not going to give you every number. All these are from 10 to 1.
Okay.
So it's like descending order. Rugrats, Beverly Hills 90210. Never watched it.
No.
The X-Files, Boy Meets World.
I watched it every week.
Episode.
Yeah.
When Sean's dead. I'm not going to talk about it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Twin Peaks, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Seinfeld, Frasier, and Friends.
Can't believe we didn't talk about Friends. That was one that I remember liking as a kid. I watched the last episode live, like on the phone with my high school girlfriend. We watched it together on the phone.
How adorable.
Isn't that cute?
It's totes adorbs. Christopher was more of a Friends fanatic than I was. Like, he has every episode, like the DVD set.
It's a great show.
It is a good show. I don't know. I mean, I was more of a cartoon guy. I didn't watch a lot of live action adult shows like Friends and Seinfeld and stuff like that. Top 10 cartoons, according to Screen Rant. Darkwing Duck.
Oh, wait a minute. Rugrats was a cartoon.
Yeah, but
And that was on that last list.
yeah, but
Screen Rant needs to
I know they did
figure out their lists.
Well, no, like they did a cartoons and the shows. Rugrats made it into the shows, and Rugrats did not make it into the cartoons top 10.
Yes, it did. I'm looking at it right now.
Where are we at?
Number 3.
Yeah, it's number 3. Never mind. But
Maybe I should be the notes person.
yeah. So cartoons according to Screen Rant: Darkwing Duck. I think it should be a little lower, but Bobby's World.
Totally.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I feel like he was kind of a knockoff of Dennis the Menace.
He was on his little tricycle. He did look. Yeah, he was like Dennis the Menace.
Pinky and the Brain. Recess.
Yeah.
The Tick. Hey Arnold.
Saw every one of them.
X-Men Animated.
Of course.
Rugrats. Animaniacs. And obviously the number 1, Batman the Animated Series.
I think that's fitting.
I'm a little shocked that Spider-Man's not.
Me too.
Because I feel like Spider-Man would have been more of a top 10 than Recess and The Tick.
Yeah, I think so too.
But this was Screen Rant's list. So,
I don't know if they
send
can
them
be
an angry
trusted.
email. Top 10 movies, according to Screen Rant, in the 90s: Saving Private Ryan, Forrest Gump.
That should be way higher up.
Exactly. Unforgiven. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Western.
Yep.
Gene Hackman. Goodfellas. Silence of the Lamb. Braveheart. Pulp Fiction. Shawshank Redemption. American Beauty, and Schindler's List. I never saw American Beauty.
I did.
Was it?
Um.
Wasn't it Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, it was. Spoiler alert. He gets shot in the back of the head at the end, and I just remember it really freaked me out for some reason when I saw it. I was like, oh, I don't know, it was just really unsettling to me.
That's weird.
But I've only seen it the one time. You've probably seen other movies parodying it. Like, you ever seen, like, there's a weird dude with a video camera filming, like, a paper bag floating through the air and stuff? That was from American Beauty.
Not another teen movie?
That's from American Beauty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this weird, creepy kid films, like,
a paper bag.
Something like that, just floating around.
Okay, so they're spoofing that.
The girl from Hocus Pocus, that was the little sister, she's in that movie, and she does nudity.
Oh,
she stands in her window and exposes herself.
You mean Danny? Little
Yes.
Danny?
I think it's her.
Oh.
I may be telling tales out of school here, but I'm pretty sure it's the same actress.
You may be telling tailspins. Comic books. Top 10 comic books of the 90s, according to comicwatch.com. Jim Lee's Wildcats.
Okay.
Ghost Rider, Rise of the Midnight Suns. Preacher. Spawn. Sandman, Master of Dreams. Which Kevin Smith is high on Sandman. He loves that series. I've never read them. The New Warriors. Witchblade. Gen 13. Death of Superman, and X-Men 91.
So
X-Men 91 was after the Uncanny X-Men.
Got to be real honest with you. I didn't read comic books in the 90s.
I didn't really start reading until high school, so.
I read, like, the handful that were given to me because people knew that I liked all that nerdy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't, like, go to the, I didn't go to the comic book store
And buy comics.
Yeah. You got to remember, we grew up, if you and I had grown up in the 80s, we probably would have been comic book kids at that age, but there was just so many other options, and we started to get the internet, and we had video games.
Well, yeah, I mean,
the kids before us didn't have.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Kept us busy. Super Nintendo 64, that kept us busy in the 90s. But like I said, if we were in the 80s, then we probably would have been arcade-loving comic book kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Top 10 video games according to The Gamer. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Super Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat, Doom, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, NBA Jam, Resident Evil, Myst, spelled M-Y-S-T, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye, 007's GoldenEye. Those top two, very, very correct. Aptly put there. I played the heck out of both of those.
Played a lot of GoldenEye. I was never much of a Zelda kid.
I feel like GoldenEye really paved the way for Halos and Call of Duty.
I used to love
Fortnite
to do the cheat where you made everybody have really big heads.
The DK head.
Yeah.
It's called DK mode.
Yeah. I always did that.
My brother would always play his odd job and run under your legs if you were charging after him.
Mm-hmm.
It's crap. He also was the type of person that when we would be playing Super Smash Brothers, if he knew he had one extra life than you, he would always be Kirby. And he'd just suck you up and just walk off the side to win.
That's smart, though.
It's not smart. It's crap.
He won, didn't he?
Yeah, sure, whatever. He won. So those are some of your top 10s of the 90s. Some of them I strongly agree with. Some of them I strongly disagree with.
Yeah, me too.
So I wanted to play a little game with you.
Let's do it.
I'd like to play a game. It's called The 90's, This or That. We've got 15 of them here. Number 1, Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse?
You're not going to believe it, but I'm going to say... You mean at the time? Like in the 90s, what would I pick?
I don't know. How do you want to do this? You want to do this now, or do you want to do this like a...
Well, you're saying 90s,
yeah,
though.
So, in the 90s.
In the 90s, I was actually a Bugs Bunny kid more than a Mickey kid.
I was too. Number 2, Donald or Daffy?
Probably Daffy,
I was actually a Donald kid.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I like Donald better than Mickey. Like, Donald is my Disney character of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Out of... I don't know if you'd call him like... Because there's Disney characters like Aladdin, Hercules, stuff like that. Then there's like... I guess you'd call them the House of Mouse characters, the Clubhouse, the originals maybe.
Yeah.
Donald is always going to be my choice. Number 3, Animaniacs or Pinky and the Brain?
Pinky and the Brain.
Animaniacs for me. Number 4, Batman or Superman?
Batman.
5, Pokemon or Digimon?
For me, technically, it's neither one. But I remember watching the Pokemon show and kind of being a little more interested in it.
Me too. Number 6, Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog?
Mario.
Number 7, Duke Nukem or Doom?
Doom.
I liked Nukem better because of his auto hill to the king, baby. Doom scared me more than Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Things would pop up in front of you.
I just remember my cousins had it on their computer, and if I wasn't home, I still wanted to play video games, so I played it.
Number 8, Naruto or Dragon Ball Z?
Neither one.
Did you not watch Naruto either?
No.
I'd say Dragon Ball Z, easily. Number 9, DuckTales or Darkwing Duck?
Darkwing Duck.
Definitely Darkwing Duck. Number 10, Tailspin or Chip and Dale?
Tailspin, I think.
I like Tailspin better, too, because it took, like, the Jungle Book characters and completely changed the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool. I didn't hate Chip and Dale. I liked it.
Yeah.
Did you notice, though, that people are just starting to realize, and there's a meme running around the internet, that Chip and Dale were based off of Indiana Jones and Magnum P.I.?
Yes.
People are just now starting to go like, oh my gosh, have you noticed this? I was like, dude, I was a 10-year-old and I knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
There was a connection there.
Do you even 90s, bro? Number 11, WCW or WWE?
At the time, I was a WCW kid, but it didn't take me long to get to where I was both. And then predominantly WWF.
At the time, I was still WWF.
Yeah.
I was WWF. I didn't hate WCW, but I was, because I had, Taker and Shawn.
Well, I know the reason that I was a WCW kid was because my aunt in Florida, who got me into wrestling, she, used to go to, like, the territories and see it live. And, like, she used to, like, party with Dusty Rhodes and stuff like that. So she would watch WCW because that's where all the territory people went and you could see them. So
funny thing about those is anytime, because WCW took place in Georgia, it was a southern style based territory, and WWF was northern based. So anytime that WWF wanted to make fun of WCW, they'd always WCW, and even though I was a WWF guy, I was like, all right, cut it out. We're not that dumb. Yeah. Shut up, Triple H. Number 12, Super Nintendo or N64?
Oh, man, I loved them both. I'm going to say Super Nintendo because it was the first system I ever owned.
It was the first one I ever owned. But, man, 64. I'd have to say 64 because it had GoldenEye and Ocarina of Time.
I loved them both. It's not a fair question.
It's either or, not are you on the fence?
Well, I can't. Super Nintendo.
All right. 13. The X-Men animated series. Man. Or the Spider-Man animated series.
How are you going to do that to me? I love them both so much. Spider-Man.
I knew you would. And I don't hate that.
I was a Spider-Man kid.
Yeah.
But I
was a Wolvie kid.
I loved X-Men.
Yeah. You can love them. It's just, it was either or of the 90s.
Oh.
Number 14, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or the Ninja Turtles?
Power Rangers. All day, every day. I
have trouble with this one. Because I was raised pretty heavily on the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, it's either or, Tyler.
I still have to say Power Rangers. 15, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network?
Yeah, I was Nickelodeon.
I'd have to say I was Nickelodeon, too.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z was on Cartoon Network, but I'm definitely a Nickelodeon kid at heart. All right. So that's that for this and that. So we actually had a little bit of Q&A.
You've got mail
To get to. And just a few here. KW, good old Kiera, asks, why was Rugrats such a good show then? But if you were to watch it now, it's very weird.
Because we've grown up and lost our imaginative minds that we had as children.
And we now know what they were talking about.
I don't know.
Like,
actually.
for instance, that Stu was depressed. The dad was a depressed man. Now we know what depression is.
Have you heard that really twisted theory that, like, all the babies were, like, in Angelica's mind or something like that?
Yeah, I've heard that theory.
Yeah.
That she was lonely.
And that, like...
Those dumb babies.
Yeah.
Ooh. There's some twisted theories about all of our 90s stuff out there.
Did you ever see the all grown up stuff that they did?
I did.
I didn't see a single minute of it.
I got out of Rugrats when they added another kid. I was like,
Dill?
Who's Dill? This is not the original gang.
Yeah.
Quit adding people.
They added him because of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's weird now because we know what the things that were supposed to be over her head, like what the mom does as a job. She is a counselor of specific type for married couples.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And we didn't know what the heck that was back then. Now you're like, what?
Okay.
Well, that's just any show, though. Like, go back and watch Ren and Stimpy. You want to know why some 90s kids are messed up? Because we had some messed up
stuff. They like did a whole extra run of Ren and Stimpy that was legitimately adult themed.
Like rated R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember stumbling onto that one day. It was on like TNN or something, and I was like, Ren and Stimpy, wow.
Oh my.
Oh my. This is not the way I remember it.
This is not my Ren and Stimpy.
They've changed.
You've changed. Great question, though. Donna asks, what is your favorite memory from the 90s?
All of it. Most of it.
I talked about the NSYNC concert. That was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I can't put a favorite.
I think just like, I was an only child. Pretty much. My siblings were way, way older than me. So just like having to, getting excited about Power Rangers or a movie or a show or something, and then going outside and like using my imagination to play,
with sticks and capes and stuff.
Yeah, that type of thing. And doing wrestling moves off my mother's couch and getting caught and getting in a lot of trouble and then doing it anyway. But I never broke any bones or broke anything in the house or got hurt doing any of that stuff. But still, don't try this at home.
I can't really put a specific favorite. It was a great time. Carla asks, this isn't a full-on 90s question, but if you had to make someone play 5 video games that represent your taste, basically to introduce them to your taste, I guess, what would those 5 video games be?
Only 90s questions allowed, Carla, so you'll have to try again another time. I kid.
Such a hill. You go first.
Okay, so I think I'm going to pick Super Mario World.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, that was the first game I ever owned. Star Fox 64.
Super Mario World was with the cape.
Yes,
the cape,
the
right?
yellow cape.
Yeah. Star Fox was great.
Star Fox 64. I knew all the different paths you could take on the map, the different shortcuts and stuff.
Slippy. No.
This is a really like a newer one. The Spider-Man on the PS4 game.
The newest one?
That one. Top notch. Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the first one.
Oh, yeah.
From 2006. And Batman Arkham Asylum, I guess, because I had to pick something. I'm sure there's something that would be better, but
okay,
that's all I could come up with.
My 5 would be Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Skyrim, Kingdom Hearts, BioShock, and Halo. Those 5 are really... There's definitely a big RPG feel to that. And I used to hate those types of games. I used to hate RPGs, probably until... Ocarina of Time was the only RPG. And it really wasn't an RPG. It wasn't a role-playing game. It was the first open world, open menu of its type. And those are pretty modern. Looking at that list now, those are pretty modern games. Only Ocarina is really the 90s. But yeah, those are the 5 that would introduce someone to my taste in video games. Michael asks, is there something post-90s that you would put against a 90s classic as just as strong or better? And I may get a lot of hate for what I say.
I think you will.
So you go first.
Well, you're going to have to go first because I can't think of anything.
I think that How I Met Your Mother is better than Friends.
And so I love How I Met Your Mother.
I know.
Like big time, big love for How I Met Your Mother.
I know.
But I don't think that I could say that.
Yeah.
I think I had more... I reacted stronger to How I Met Your Mother when I saw it because I was an adult and I could.
We were living those.
Yeah,
those years.
I could empathize with some of the situations that they went through, and with Friends, not as much. Friends didn't have as much of the drama and the deep stuff as How I Met Your Mother. It was more strictly comedy. I mean, it had deep stuff every now and then, like the Ross and Rachel stuff, of course. But How I Met Your Mother was deep.
Some great stuff there. Some great life stuff.
Maybe better in a different way.
I just kind of fell in love with the characters in How I Met Your Mother more. Mm-hmm. Sometimes especially going back and watching Friends, sometimes I'm like, God, they just piss me off sometimes with how they act towards each other.
Yeah.
And that's another big reason I don't get into It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Everybody loves that show.
That one.
I don't like it.
They're all terrible people.
They're terrible human beings.
Yeah.
I don't find any of it funny.
I got 2 seasons into it.
And I was like, these are terrible people and not funny at all.
Yeah.
I can't relate to anything.
I didn't relate to them at all. Exactly.
So, I don't know. I just didn't relate to Friends as much. Maybe that's why.
How long has it been since you've like watched Friends?
If Friends is on TV when I'm scrolling, I'll stop.
You haven't like watched through the series though in a long time, right?
It's been a while. Probably.
Maybe you should try that before Netflix takes it away.
Was that next year?
I think so.
So I have about a year.
I would do it. I rewatched the whole series probably 3 years ago or so. And I got through it really quickly. It's like 9 or 10 seasons, so
yeah.
I blasted through it.
I really dislike you right now.
Why?
You'll do that for Friends, but you won't catch up to Supernatural?
Dude, Supernatural is not a 20-minute show. It's like a full hour, and there's 73 seasons of it.
15.
No. And I've tried. I just can't.
I've tried.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I know it hurts.
That's all right. That's all right.
I don't think I have anything. If there's something that I could put up against the 90s, I can't think of it right now. Probably any MCU movie versus practically any 90s superhero movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Final one is not a question. Our dear friend Stephanie, who is actually the winner of our July contest.
Yay!
However, we are not mailing out your package yet until she purchased a Fight Like a Nerd shirt.
Oh, good.
So we are going to wait and mail everything to her. She lives in Arkansas now.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Stephanie, she's fantastic. She's very hilarious. She has a game for us to play.
Okay.
One has to go. Full House, Friends, Fresh Prince, or Home Improvement.
Full House.
You answered that quick.
Yeah. I didn't even have to think about it. You're going to say Friends, aren't you?
Just what with it goes all the quotes, all the moments.
Full House?
Think about no more. You got it, dude.
I don't care.
Cut it out.
I don't care. Friends has
Pivot.
How you doing?
How you doing? I'd have to say Full House.
Thank you.
Funny, but I just didn't watch it like I watched the other three.
Mm-hmm.
And I was no way I'm getting rid of Fresh Prince.
No.
Or Home Improvement.
No.
But yeah, I seriously think we could sit here all night, man, and discuss the 90s. But like I said, this has already been a massive show, really big queue, and we got work in the morning.
It's time to move on.
Madison has fallen asleep 3 or 4 different times while sitting over here and ignoring our nerd out a little bit here and there. But so I think she's ready for bed.
I understand.
You look ready for bed.
I feel ready for bed.
Yeah. Been a big weekend. Big weekend. So next week, what are we going to talk about?
I don't know. You tell me. Because you're the professional one who has all the stuff in front of you.
Yes, but you've been looking forward. I'll give you a hint. You've been looking forward to this.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh! Is it finally time?
It's finally
okay,
time.
so next week, I'm pretty sure, we're going to talk about The Boys.
Yes.
So I've said this every episode for the past month. If you haven't seen The Boys, go watch The Boys. But only if you are an adult and you are okay with mature content, because it is a little bit brutal sometimes. But it's a great show, and I cannot wait for us to have a whole discussion about it.
I'm very excited.
Next week.
I'm very excited.
The Boys.
Yes. So next week, The Boys really will be back.
Yes.
We're going to have to find different ways to do The Boys. The Boys are back.
I'm so excited.
I'm
excited for you to see it.
I'm very excited. And like I told you, I didn't want to start last week, so I'm going to binge it all week this week.
Yes.
So it's fresh on my mind.
It's only like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Like if I can get through 15 seasons of Supernatural, I can do 8 episodes.
73 and a half seasons of Supernatural. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, this has been fantastic. Always great nerding out with you. We hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on everything, and we look forward to talking about the boys next week.
Yeah, especially me. It's like my favorite thing ever now.
I know. I guess I'll see you in a few days there, Doc.
All right, well, we'll see you then. Booyah.
You've been listening to the 30 and Nerdy podcast with your hosts, Tyler McDaniel and Josh Davis. Brought to you by Encore Theatrical Company, Akita Express, Creative Theater, and Advertising Expressions. Find us, follow us, and like us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Visit our website, 30andnerdypodcast.com. Got something to tell us? Drop us an email, 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. Until next time, cheers to you, nerds!